With rotation finally being here in the Pokemon trading card game and the perfect order set being released, there were two cards on my radar that I was the most excited to build decks with. The first was Salazzle EX, which I had already made a video about, and the second was the single prize Serperior. For those that don't know, Serperior is probably one of my favorite Pokemon. It's definitely one of my top 3 favorite starters, that's for sure. I just love this really cool green snake. But the Serperior being able to do more damage for the more bench Pokemon you have in play, and then of course being able to really punish your opponent if we have a Rosa's Encouragement in the discard pile. We'll go over it a little more in that deck list. Let's get to it. Already here at that deck list, starting us off with that Serperior from Perfect Order, 160 HP Grass type Stage 2 Pokemon. First attack, Regal Command for 1 Grass Energy, does 20 times. This attack does 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play. So, very similar to how Terrapago's EX works, we're going to do more damage for however many Pokemon we have in play, which is pretty cool. And then its second attack, Solar Coiling for 3 Grass Energy for 100 and plus damage. Says if you have a Rosa's Encouragement in your discard pile, this attack does 150 more damage. So 250 damage on a single prize attacker seems pretty good to me. Now, of course, we're also playing 2 copies of Serperior EX. Its ability, Regal Cheer, says attacks used by your Pokemon do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So if we have 2 Serperior EX in play, and then we attack with our normal Serperior, we're doing 290 damage. That's kind of insane. Now, Serperior EX has a pretty cool attack as well. For 4 energy, 1 grass, and 3 colors. Command the grass, 150 damage. You may search your deck for up to 3 cards and then put them into your hand and shuffle your deck. Gonna be pretty helpful to be able to find that key boss's orders, maybe that Rosa's Encouragement or the unfair stamp we might need in a pinch. So we're playing 4 Snivy, 4 Servine, 2 single prize Serperior, and then 2 Serperior EX. For our Dry Engine and another really good attacker in this deck, we're playing 4 copies of Teal Mask Ogerpon EX, just like everybody else is. Ability, Teal Dance, attach an energy, draw a card, you know the shtick. And then Myriad Leaf Shower for 3 Grass Energy, 30 plus, 30 more damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon, which is going to be pretty good, especially when you pair that with the Meganium. So we're playing 3 Chikorita, 2 Bayleaf, and 2 copies of the Meganium with the ability Wild Growth. Each basic grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon provide 2 energy instead. 1 copy of Meowth EX to be able to find that key supporter with that Last Ditch Catch ability. 1 copy of Budew for Lily's Determination. 4 copies of Rosa's Encouragement, which is going to be really good, like I said, with that Serperior and that Solar Coiling attack. You can only use this card if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, so we do have to be kind of behind in order to use this. However, attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your stage 2 Pokemon. So if we have a Meganium in play, we can go Rosa's Encouragement, attach 2 to our Serperior, and then go attach for turn again. We don't even actually need to attach for turn, but we could if we had to. And then we're starting to hit Solar Coiling for 250 damage, which is pretty good to me. 2 copies of Boss's Orders, 4 copies of Bug Catching Set, 2 Ultra Ball, and then 1 copy of Unfair Stamp for our Ace Spec of choice. Unfair Stamp is kind of just broken in post-rotation now that like Iono and stuff are gone. You can only use this card if one of your Pokemon were knocked out during your last turn. Each player shuffles their hand in their deck. You draw 5, and your opponent draws 2. 4 copies of that Forest Vitality. Each player's Grass-type Pokemon can evolve into a Grass Pokemon during that turn. They play those Pokemon, except during your first turn. 11 copies of Grass Energy, and then 3 copies of Growing Grass Energy. So long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides a Grass Energy, and then also the Grass Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 20 HP. Let's get to the gameplay. Already here at that gameplay here at the coin flip, we are kind of in an okay position. We're going to put Chikorita into play. Now, ideally with this deck, we want to be going first, which we are going to be going first. So the coin flip, we did end up winning, which is going to be real good here. So Chikorita in the active spot, Chikorita on the bench, Snivy on the bench, Ultra Ball here. Going to pitch that Rosa's Encouragement because now it's in the discard pile. Boom. 1 energy. If we can get some energy onto a Serperior, we're going to be hitting for 250 damage with that Solar Coiling attack, which is going to be pretty insane. Now, our opponent is going to be on that Steven's Metagross deck. I've been seeing this deck go around quite a bit. It does seem like a pretty hard matchup for us, though, because it does resist us and takes 30 less damage. However, I feel like it's kind of counterable for us because we're able to just put more energy in play and kind of get around it. But our opponent just passed his turn here. I'm going to evolve into a Bayleaf on the bench. Lily's Determination. We need a fresh set of cards here. We're going to Teal Dance, draw a card. So attach an energy, draw a card into a Budew, which is going to be kind of nice. So now I can have the item lock going if I want that. We're going to go for another Teal Dance. So attach that grass energy, draw a card into a Servine. So Snivy into that Servine. Bug catching set here. I'm eyeing up what I want to get. I'm going to grab Meganium and I think a Bayleaf because I really want to make sure my Meganium stays up. So we're going to retreat out of the Chikorita into the Budew, evolve our Chikorita into Bayleaf, and then Itchy Pollen for 0 damage. But under that item lock, which is going to be pretty good for us. So we're in a pretty okay spot. We got Meganium for next turn. We got Serperior for next turn. We got Rosa's Encouragement in the discard pile already. If they take the knockout on the Budew, which they're going to be able to with that Ram attack for 30 damage, Rosa's Encouragement is going to be coming up, attaching energies to our Serperior, ready to go. So we're going to throw up our Servine. Perfect. Exactly where we want to be. Now, Meganium is going to have to come into play first, and I am going to need a little help. Like I said, Rosa's Encouragement is definitely going to be good, but ideally, I want a better hand. My hand's not super great, so we're going to Rosa's Encouragement this turn, and we got 1 Teal Dance to work with. So attach 2 of the energies to Serperior, which is going to be perfect, and I'm like, okay, we're going to be able to Teal Dance here, so we can Teal Dance, attach, draw a card into an Ultra Ball, which is pretty good. So Solar Coiling for 220 damage, taking out that Stevens Beldum, getting our first prize card here. But now Rosa's Encouragement's offline. However, it's not too big of a deal. If we had another, maybe a backup attacker, that would be pretty good. We do have the Teal Mask Ogerpon though as a backup attacker, but we'll have to kind of see how that pans out. So Stevens Metagross EX, a rare candy into that Metagross here. And the Vroom onto the bench. Lily's Determination for a fresh 6 cards. Into a Hoot Hoot, so they got the Noctowl Jewel Seeker engine in there, probably playing some sort of Terra-type Pokemon, maybe one of the Ogerpons, probably Wellspring, or maybe Cornerstone, even Terapagos is a thing I've seen in these decks lately. We got Genesect EX in the deck as well, which is pretty good being able to find all those Pokemon. So we got Snivy here, but we really want to not, I don't want to get rid of anything. So we're just going to Solar Coiling for 220 damage, and the reason I don't want to is I want them to take the knockout on this single prize Serperior, because the next turn I can evolve. Hopefully I can draw Ultra Ball, discard some things, get into another Serperior EX, command the grass, and kind of start going there. I need a lot for that to happen, but we'll have to see. So our opponent here, Metagross, is going to use that X-Boot ability, being able to get some energies into play, putting the metal energy to that Genesect. I feel like Genesect's not really an attacker for their deck. But if you have to do it, you have to do it. You know, in a pinch, you might need to. So, Unfair State is going to be really useful. So now, the Ultra Ball play, out of the window. We're going to take the 2 prize cards here. Solar Coiling, 2 prize cards, putting us to a 3-5 split, which is perfect. Got Lily's Determination in hand, got Bug Catching set in hand. We are in such a great spot right now. Our opponent here going to attach 150 damage, which is not going to do it, but they'll take 30 less damage the next turn, which isn't great. We might be able to try to kind of get out of it, but they have resistance on top of that, so we'll have to see. Our opponent here going to get some Pokemon out of their deck with that Metallic Signal ability. 150 damage to our Serperior, and I'm like, all right, we really got to get something to work here. I'm going to go Ultra Ball, discard Rosa's and Lily's Determination, because now I'm ahead on prizes. I feel like it's not going to be worth it. So we're going to go into the Servine here, and then we're going to get 2 Grass Energy, so we get 2 Teal Dances this turn. And we also have Lily's Determination if we need to do that. Force of Vitality, perfect, into the Serperior EX. And I'm like, okay, I can only do 210. There's not really a way for me to do more damage. I probably could retreat into maybe an Ogerpon if that did more, but I just feel like it's not worth it. So instead, I'm going to punch for 210. They're going to take the knockout on the Serperior. Next turn, Unfair Stamp. And my opponent at that point is pretty much just lost. They're dead to rights. They have no draw engine going. They have pretty much such a frail setup, and I'm ready to go. I mean, we have attackers. We have the Wild Growth ability. We have another Meganium up and ready if we need that. We got Force of Vitality in play, the Serperior EX in play. I mean, we're ready to go. So we're going to Teal Dance first. And the reason I do that is because I want to get the energy in play. So now Unfair Stamp. So Teal Dance, draw a card, not a big deal. Unfair Stamp. We're going to get our Meganium here. So we're going to have two. The effect doesn't stack, but if they knock out one of the Meganiums, we're going to be ready to go. So 260 damage here, taking a knockout on that Genesect. Now, we could have retreated and taken the knockout on the Genesect sooner. However, I really wanted to get rid of my opponent's hand after seeing that Unfair Stamp in our hand. And that was kind of a little risky play. They could have used Judge or something, but I really wanted to disrupt as much as possible to just secure the win kind of further. So Brock scouting for our opponent here, just kind of searching through the deck, see what they can find here. I don't know. They really got to crawl back into this. They don't have a whole lot going for them. They got the Mega Mawile, but they got the room in the active spot. You got to get out of that. So they go Ultra Ball here, and I'm like, all right, maybe a Rev Room. They get Mega Skarmory. And I think at that point, they're just going to pass, and that's kind of game there. Now, this is going to be one of two game footages. So Myriad Leaf Shower, taking the knockout on that Vroom, cleaning up house real quick. Boom. Being able to really, even into a deck that they have resistance into us, really. Being able to even punish them, I feel like is kind of insane. Let's get to game two. Already here at game two, at the coin flip. Our opponent did win the coin flip, and they're going to choose to go first. Ideally, I want to go first, but if you go second, it's not too big of a deal. You get that Budew item lock like you saw in the first game. Really being able to establish that item lock early can be pretty powerful. Our opponent going to be on En's Zoroark EX. Now, that's perfect for us because En's Zoroark EX is weak to grass. So, really being able to hopefully punish our opponent on En's Zoroark because we are a grass deck. So, starting us off with the Chikorita in the active spot, we're definitely going to take that extra card into a bug catching set, which is pretty nice. Our hand's not too bad, but they start with double En's Darumaka. Now, En's Darmanitan, if they're playing like any sort of way to turbo energy to this thing quickly on an En's Darmanitan, could prove to be very difficult for us to deal with, actually. Just because it hits all over our Pokemon for weakness, unfortunately. So we'll have to see. But we got a Chikorita in the active spot. We can get another Chikorita on the bench here, just in case they knock it out, because having two Meganium in play isn't necessarily a bad thing. But first, we're going to bug catching set, get an Ogerpon and a Grass Energy. So throw the Chikorita in play, throw the Ogerpon in play. Teal Dance, going to be able to draw a card into a Lilies here. And I'm like, all right, you know what? We're going to Lilies, don't even attach an energy. We're going to have two bug catching sets, which is going to be huge. So we're going to get Meganium and that Grass Energy into our hand. And I was like, all right, should I bug catching set again? And I'm like, you know what? We'll Teal Dance here. We'll draw a card. I feel like Ogerpon's just a really fast, aggressive attacker. For this matchup, I feel like the Serperior route is kind of more for the slower, more methodical games. But I feel like Ogerpon is really the attack you want to be going into if you want to just be fast and aggressive. So, another Teal Dance coming in hot. Now, I do make a misplay and I toss in Force of Vitality. And I was like, oh my gosh, hopefully I don't get punished for this. So, we'll have to see if I get punished. I should have held it in my hand because in the next turn I could go Bayleaf into Meganium and, you know, try to find myself into a Snivy and then go Snivy into Servon into Serperior. But, alas, we'll have to see. En's Darmanitan coming in for our opponent here. Like I said, it could prove to be a problem just because of that fire typing. Lily's Determination, so we'll have to see if they have like an En's Castle or a Jamming Tower or something like that. But that Buddy Poffin is going to be able to get them En's Zorba. Now, Petron EX is not really a Pokemon we want to be attacking into that much. They don't really put energy on it all that often, if ever, and it's weak to fighting. So we're not really going to be able to punish anything for weakness. But En's Zoroark, we're going to want to be chasing those down. So that's going to be the play here. Now, En's Darumaka has 2 energy on it, so Rolling Tackle for 40, which is not where you want to be. Now, granted, we're not really in a much better spot, unfortunately. I should evolve my Bayleaf, or my Chikorita into Bayleaf and then into Meganium, but I need to get the active Chikorita out also. So I got to evolve the bench Chikorita into Bayleaf, into Meganium. And I'm like, okay, we're going to Lily's Determination. We're going to save the Meowth because I just want to hold on to it for now. Now we're going to Teal Dance here, being able to attach energy and draw a card into another energy. So Teal Dance, going to attach, draw a card into a Force of Vitality here. Now, Ultra Ball, now this is where I make a little bit of a misplay. I feel like I shouldn't be discarding a Force of Vitality. I feel like I should always be having extras. I should never really be discarding them off of Ultra Ball. But we're going pretty aggressive here. So, Snivy into Servine into a Serperior. We gotta attach the energy to the Chikorita. So, no Serperior attack for us this turn, unfortunately. I got a little greedy there. I was pretty committed to having to attach the growing energy and then retreat out of that. But we got lucky and just drew a normal grass energy, which is pretty good. So into our Teal Mask Ogerpon EX, 210 damage, taking the knockout on the Enzdarmaka. Now this does put us on odd prizes, which just kind of suck a little bit, but not too big of a deal. Now there's that Rosa's Encouragement. Now, unfortunately, we are ahead in prizes, so Rosa's Encouragement doesn't feel that great. But if we can find an Ultra Ball, we can just discard Rosa's Encouragement with that, and that'll work pretty fine. As long as this is in the discard pile. It doesn't have to be used to be in the discard pile. It's just got to be in the discard pile. So we'll have to see if that'll work out for us. Now, next turn, we're kind of in a situation of just attacking, but our opponent realizes that we have 3 Ogerpons set up in the field right now, not really being able to do anything. They still need end Zoroarks, and I got 3 Teal Mask Ogerpons ready to go, and Serperior evolved, almost ready to go, just into a bad matchup for them. So really being able to showcase, even on a bad matchup, this deck's got what it takes, and even into the good matchups, they just can't even hang. Let's get to the outro. Already going to draw for today's video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this deck. I think it's just a really fun deck. It's a very interesting way to play the Ogerpon Meganium deck that has been seeing some competitive success. I think I kind of just put my own little twist on it a little bit, and I love Serperior. I think it's such a cool Pokemon, but also going to be the deck list copied down in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live for you guys. If you enjoy the content I've been making sure to friend the channel, definitely make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And I want to give a huge shout out and special thanks to all of my channel members that you see here. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you. I could not do this without you guys. Now, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!